Hello, my loves. We are going to do your Celtic Spirit Oracle pentagram shape reading here. So this is something that we will do sign by sign. We have a general one up. If you haven't seen that, feel free to check that out in case you aren't familiar with this type of reading, to see if this might be something that interests you. But it is just a 5-card type of reading to kind of get your general energy going forward. So we'll go ahead and get started here. This is just a general reading. Please do take what resonates and take the rest with a grain of salt. And if you do enjoy this, please do like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, all that other great stuff. The top position or first position is where you are now. The second position is what will bring you the most happiness. The third position is what obstacles you may be facing. The fourth position is what your spirit's guide, message type thing or advice maybe would be to you. And the fifth position is your optimal outcome here. So let's see what we have for you today. So we have the feminine nature and oneness here as what you are now. So right now, I do feel like for many of you, you are trying to, harness that divine feminine, right? So for many of you, you may be, really trying to kind of get yourself into a place that is different from where you've been, right? Maybe you've been in a place for a long time where you really just haven't felt your best, okay? And you haven't felt really in control of things. Maybe you've been in a relationship that wasn't really, it was all give and no take, right? Or you've been in a job where you've just felt like you were kind of used and abused, really, overworked, underpaid kind of situation. And now this is more like you trying to, harness your feminine side. Kind of being natural is more like trying to kind of blossom, grow, trying to develop yourself, be at one with your feminine, divine feminine. You're really trying to find your footing, okay? You're trying to put yourself in a position, right? Just like in nature where you're creating an environment, right, where you can grow, where you can blossom, where, your attributes can be really in its best growth environment, right? If you're in a toxic environment, you're not going to grow, right? You're not going to have creative license to do the things you want to do. If you're in a toxic work environment, toxic relationship, right? None of those things are conducive to your growth. It's the same with, nature, plants, right? If you're not able to get your divine feminine in there, if you're not able to be in a, a good, conducive, natural environment where you can grow and be your best version of yourself, where you have supportive systems and, people around you, then you're not going to be able to live your best life, right? And I feel like that's what you're really challenged with right now, right? So at this point, you need to find what's going to make me happy. So that's where card number 2 comes in. And card number 2 is the celestial, cosmos, creation, and spiral. And this is all about creating your happiness, right? And for many of you, if you've been in a position like this where you haven't really had the opportunity to really control your outcome, you've just been living the life that someone else has kind of designed for you. Whether that's because you've come straight out of college and into this job and you've been working it for 20 years, or you came straight out, got, married or got into this relationship and you've just kind of been riding that wave for so long that you don't know any different. And you're just kind of like, same old, beating my head against a wall, doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, kind of thing, then really and truly, you may not even know what all is out there to make you happy, right? So this is about creating your own path, right? Deciding what is it I would want to do. And for some of you, that may be crazy to you to even think about, like, well, gosh, if I had it to do all over again, right? I would. It's like that dream when we were a little kid, everybody wants to be, oh, I want to be a fireman. Oh, I want to be a ballerina, those things. And then none of us follow through with that, right? Or very few of us get to follow through with those kinds of things because we're pushed into the more practical side or what we're best at or what our parents tell us to do or, those kinds of things. But this is the point where you get to choose. And I don't care. And I always use this example because it's kind of a bizarre thing. I don't care if you want to sell snow cones on the roadside in Alaska. If that's what's making you happy, create that as your path, right? that's where you can harness your path. The sky's the limit, really. Okay. It's what you can do. So really, this is the most important part, is defining what it is that's going to make you happy. Because I think for so many of you, you haven't even had the opportunity to think about what it is that would make you happy. You've just been so busy living for others. Maybe your spouse, maybe your significant other, maybe your boss at work, maybe your kids. Maybe you've been such a people pleaser for so long that you haven't even had a chance to think about what makes me happy. I don't, and this is where you get to kind of decide that portion of it. Okay. But what is your biggest obstacle? So your biggest obstacle here is transformation and knowledge. And for anybody, I do think that anytime we have to make a change, right? Anytime we have to learn something new, anytime we have to teach an old dog new tricks, and I don't care if you're 20 or 120, when you're learning something new, it's teaching an old dog new tricks is a good term for that, because you're having to learn something different, and it can be scary, right? We're creatures of habit. Change is the unknown. It can be scary, especially if we're trying to learn something that we've never done before, or we have limited experience with, or, people around us are telling us you can't do it, because you know what? We may have very much been in a very non-conducive environment for our growth, for our blossoming, right? I think that was a major part of the problem here. So, this is going to continue to be our own challenge, because we've kind of gotten that in our head, right? We've been in that situation where we've gotten our head that, oh my gosh, I can't succeed in anything else. This is all I know how to do. I can't change. I can't learn something new. I can't go back to school or take a new course or start a new career at this age. There are people 90 years old going to college, okay? Anybody can do anything they want if they set their mind to it. You have to just decide what's going to make you happy, and you have to accept that that may take a little bit of extra learning, knowledge. You may have to transform your way of thinking, okay? That I can do this from, what people have told you. And for some people, that's going to be very difficult, especially if you've been in a situation where they're like, you can't do that. You don't want to do that. It'll set you back. You'll have to start at the bottom. Well, that's fine, because if you start at the bottom, but you're doing something that you love, they say you never work a day in your life, right? Which is better, starting at the bottom and quickly working your way up because you love it, you enjoy it, you're passionate about it, and you can really have that creative license to just really go for it, or stay stagnant in something that you really don't enjoy, beating your head against the wall at a 9-to-5 nonstop, right? I mean, eventually you're going to surpass where you would be now much quicker anyway. So you have to kind of change your way of thinking about things. And that is scary. It is an obstacle. It is hard to overcome that, especially when it's been pounded into your head that you're supposed to do a certain thing, or you can't make the changes, or you're too old to change, or you're too, set in your ways to change, or it'll be a step back, or, it's too much on your plate, or whatever people are telling you. But you know what? You can do whatever you want. You don't need to listen to the naysayers, and you don't need to listen to the haters. Okay. So this leads you to the fourth position, which is your message from your spirit guides. And this is the pentagram: protection, balance, and unity. And this is something that your spirit guides are saying to you. Make sure that when you do this, that you're doing it in a way that is smart, right? So don't do this out of spite because people are telling you you can't. Don't do it because you're finally fed up and you're emotionally charged. Emotional decisions are never great ones. Knee-jerk reactions are never great ones. If you get to this part where you're like, okay, I'm ready to make a transformation, I can do this, that's wonderful to have that sense of, empowerment and I can do it. But don't be so overzealous with it that if somebody does come at you with that attitude that, no, you can't, or, that toxic negativity, just brush that off. Okay. Don't say, I'm going to just jump ship and show them and stick it to them without a backup plan. Right. So what your spirit guides here are trying to tell you is be be kind of smart. Go into a very much balanced mode. When it says unity, make sure you have people on board that know what they're talking about. If you're going to try a new career path or a new relationship path, make sure that you know about this person. Make sure that you know about this career. Make sure you know about the people that you are connecting with around you, that you have unity of, connections, people, friends, that you're doing your due diligence to stay protected, right? You don't want to just jump in with anybody who's making an offer of a job to you that may or may not be on the up and up, or trying to bring you into a relationship that you may not know anything about and you jump and move in with them tomorrow. Don't just out of spite or just because you can, don't do anything that would be ill-advised. Out of spite or out of just to prove a point. I know many of us can get that way. And make sure you're protecting yourself, right? So if you are going to change a career, for example, and you do know that you might be starting at square one, you are starting your own business, whatever it may be, that you have a little bit of savings put back, right? A little bit of cushion, okay? So that you're protected, right? If you are starting a new relationship and you're saying, this relationship is no longer serving me, I'm KonMaring this whole thing, if it's not bringing me joy anymore, I'm tossing it, right? Fine, that's totally fine. You have that right to do that, and you should do that. Life's too short to waste it on somebody who is not, they're in equity, right, with you. But again, make sure that you're doing it in a good and stable way. You don't want the person, especially if they're a toxic person, to turn on you or be unsafe, those kinds of things. So again, balance, making sure you've got unity, people around you to support you, making sure that you're doing the knowledgeable thing. You've got the knowledge behind you to do the things you want to do. You're in a protected way. All of those things are important. So basically, do your due diligence. Be smart about any changes you make, okay? Safety first. And then the last card, of course, is going to be your outcome. So let's see what the outcome will be here. We have divination, guides, Agam, tree spirits. And so again, I do feel like this is letting you know that, your higher divination, whomever it is that you believe in, your spirit guide, the universe, your higher divination, celestial beings, your angels, they're going to be there to guide you, okay? I do feel like you are going to be very much supported along the way. That I think that this is letting you know that spirit very much is supporting your decision, again, to do this. I think that it's a very much supported decision to make these changes, that these are very welcome changes. These are changes that are probably past due and you already knew that you're already in a place where you should have probably cut ties, or this situation, whatever it may have been, family, work, relationship, whatever it may have been, was already no longer serving you, that kind of thing. And I do feel like Spirit is really supporting you in this card. It's letting you know that, yes, this is something that will be supported. You will have, spiritual guides behind you. You will have divine flow here. This is divine guidance. You will have your spirit guides at your back, your celestial beings, your ancestors, your higher divination, whatever it is that you personally believe in, will be there to kind of help you along the way. But again, remember that their message to you was to, of course, do it in a smart way, right? They're not here to clean up your mess, but they are there to support you throughout, the process, as long as you're doing it in a smart, knowledgeable, well-planned way. And I think it's something that, again, all begins with the creation plan here of what it is that you want to do to be happy. And that could be a complete overhaul. That could be, I want to take some time by myself for a while to decide what I want to do. Maybe I want to start a new business. Maybe I want to move back home with my elderly parents. I don't know what that is for you. Only you know that. But again, it may be I need a new relationship, but I'm not ready for one right now. I want out of this one. I know that. It may start with what you don't want, more than you knowing what you do want. And sometimes that's part of it, you know, and that's where it kind of has to start, right? But I do feel like the biggest issue right now is that you really are in a place where you aren't being supported, okay? You aren't able to feel like your natural, divine, feminine self. You're not supported in a way that you can grow. You can't blossom. You're not being nurtured, spiritually, mentally, physically, you know, and you cannot put something in a toxic environment and expect it to do well, right? I mean, it's just like that study where they had two plants and one was screamed at every day and one was said nice things to, and the exact same two plants, one started to die and the other one kind of took off. I mean, we're no different, right? So keep that in mind. So hopefully this resonated with you. If it did and you do enjoy these types of readings, would like to see more of these Celtic spirit readings in the pentagram formation, please do let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. I'd love to hear if these resonate with you. And please do like, subscribe, share, all that other great stuff. I would appreciate that as well. It means a lot to me. It's completely free, of course. So I would love to hear from you. And otherwise, I hope to see you back very soon. Bye.